Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue au championnat du sport cross-country 2022. Welcome everyone to the 2022 U Sports Cross Country Championship. We are here at the Links of Brunello Golf Course in beautiful Halifax. Usually beautiful. Weather's pretty tough today. My name's Alex Sear. I'm joined with my former teammate and colleague Angus Rawling, and we are witnessing a fast start to the men's race here. Angus, it's a quick start. Let's see who we have at the lead here.
I think it'll be key to get out quick today with the bridge about 500 meters into the loop that they're going to have to navigate where the course narrows down a little bit. But yeah, off to a good start. Too bad the race wasn't yesterday or tomorrow because beautiful days, both of those. But today we're dealing with the wind and a little bit of a tropical storm.
And usually if you're a U Sports watcher, you've noticed that the women's race usually precedes the men's race. This year it's different, so fear not, you haven't missed the women's. This is the first race of the day. Men run 8K at 12. The women run 8K at 1 o'clock. We have 4 cameras on the course. It's been a bit of a technical challenge. As mentioned, a very tough day here in Halifax. About 80 kilometers an hour winds. At least it's warm. It's about 18 degrees.
18 degrees today.
Pretty strong rain. So we're going to wait to see our runners pop out. But as you said, Angus, a little bridge right at the start. A long downhill. Looks like everyone stayed on their feet. So that's the most important part of the first kilometer, at least 500 meters of a U Sports cross-country race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the favorites of the race kind of navigate these first few kilometers. I know sometimes in the past we've seen winners like Connor Black and Yves Sikawabu come from the second pack and work their way through the race, but we've also seen others like Mitchell Eubank last year coming right up at the front the whole time. So it'll be interesting to see how the favorites of today decide to run it.
Yeah, and interesting is that we will not have a repeat individual men's champion. I don't think we have one U Sports champ in the field. So the winner this year will be a new gold medalist. We have a couple contenders. Many are coming from the OU way. Favorite team this year has yet to win a U Sports title. We're talking about the McMaster Marauders. They've dominated the OUA conference, likely the strongest conference of the 4 this year, and they're looking good getting into this championship weekend. Laval Rouge et Or, of course, l'équipe de l'Université Laval, qui sont champions 2021, vont chercher à défendre leur titre, mais avec l'absence de Jean-Simon Desgagnés et aussi de Thomas Fafard, ce sera très difficile pour l'équipe originaire du Québec.
Yeah, it would have been great to see Thomas Fafard and JSD out there today, but unfortunately some injuries are holding them back. So Laval unlikely to mount much of a challenge, but you never know. It's a windy, rainy day out here in Halifax, and anything can happen out there.
And yeah, I wonder if weather like this will favor the home team. Not that Halifax has many days like this, but the East Coast has had a rough year in terms of winds. So I wonder if the Dalhousie Tigers, the St. Mary's Huskies, St. FX X-Men have become used to this kind of temperature in the last few months. Of course, one of the contenders is a bit of a local. What do you think are Andrew Peveril's chances of hopping on the podium this year?
Yeah, I think Andrew Peveril's had a few good U Sports under his belt. I think 2 or 3 times now he's finished 19th in a row, so we'll see if he can crack that barrier and become an All-Canadian today and maybe even leap up into the podium. The Canada Games 5,000 meter champ, and no slouch in cross-country either.
Not at all, and Andrew did show a whole lot of confidence at those Canada Games this summer. You know, Angus, he looked like a different runner, I must say. Just not so much chasing, but liking to control that pack. And so we'll see if he's near the front. We're likely going to get an eye on those runners soon. We expect that the men will probably form a pack of about 10, 20 leaders, but we can see just from the corner of our eye, the camera doesn't catch it yet, but it looks like just a long string. Makes sense. In a tough day like that, no one really wants to pull ahead unless we're losing someone in the front there.
No, still early days, so I'd be surprised if we see many people drop off early, and it's going to be easier to follow this pace than lead it with the wind out there today. It's gusting up to 80 kilometers an hour, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and 8 kilometers. These men will cover it in around 24 minutes on a good day. In a day like this, expect the winner to cross maybe around 25 is my guess.
Yeah. Even with a pretty advantageous course, the course is pretty flat. A few tricky sections as you get into the back half of the course. But other than that, it should be a pretty fast day today.
Yeah, it does look like the backside of the course is pretty exposed to the wind. Golf courses make terrific cross-country courses, and Not sure if golfers like that aspect of it, but golf courses are great because you usually have the uphills, the downhills, pretty soft terrain. I'm trying to get an eye on who's leading here.
It looks like somebody's trying to string it out. I can't quite get an eye on it, but it is starting to string out a little bit now.
Okay, and now we have an eye on the runners. There's clearly one runner in the front trying to push the pace. It takes a brave runner to set the tone. Now, long-time youth sports watchers will probably remember the championships in Newfoundland, which was the last time the AUS hosted a youth sports championship. It was called CIS back then in 2014. The winds, believe it or not, were worse than this year, about 110 kilometers. And this gentleman from Trinity Western University, Declan White, chose to start really, really quickly and break away from the pack early on. Didn't work for him. He finished 17th. And so it just showed that you need some bravery here. And okay, we have his sight on the runners.
Yeah, it looks like, as we'd expect, quite a few McMaster Marauders up front, as well as somebody from Western. Can't quite make out who that is at the moment.
I think from Western is Marcel Schiel.
Yeah.
Locals might remember him. He ran for St. Mary's University one year, plagued by injury that time, and then chose to go back to the OUA and blossomed into quite a strong runner. That tall, or those twin tall figures wearing the McMaster singlet are Max Turek on the right and Andrew Davies on the left. Two of the main contenders here. Turek is the OUA champion and has been in this circuit since 2017, never winning an individual title, but now having two OUA conference titles under his belt. You know he's going to be hungry today.
Yeah, and I was just looking through the pack there, and local favorite Andrew Peveril is still there, as well as all the other favorites that we expected to see up front early. So looks like nobody's hanging back in the early stage of this race.
4 minutes have passed so far in this race. So that's just over a kilometer. So like you say, Angus, very early days. But already no big surprises. We saw one lone Laval runner, Philippe Morneau-Cartier, le coureur de l'Université Laval. Comme c'est un peu imprévu, je pense qu'il aurait pensé d'être en train de courir avec son coéquipier Jean-Simon Desgagnés. Morneau-Cartier qui a remporté sa conférence 2 semaines passées. Jean-Simon finissant... Jean-Simon n'avait pas couru pendant au championnat de la conférence. Donc, Morneau-Cartier arrive de son dernier championnat victorieux. Et on s'attend qu'il sera peut-être un des seuls coureurs de la conférence québécoise à être en avant, lui ainsi que son coéquipier Jonathan Tedeschi. And we saw some runners in the lower side of the golf course now. I'm not sure what's going to be harder, running on the upper levels of the course where you have no shielding from the wind, or on the lower ones that are already becoming pretty muddy.
Yeah, I think the lower levels will be tough. We can see some standing water out on certain areas of the course from our vantage point here in the booth, but I think it'll be interesting to see, especially when we get to the women's race, whether people are slipping and sliding around. I know I've had my fair share of experiences falling down in a cross-country race when the rain comes out.
2017?
Too many to count.
Too many to count. I said that if I were a woman racing today, I'd be so frustrated because usually they get to be the first ones, and today they have to wait for the men to run and rip up the course, and so they'll likely have a lot more mud to contend with when we see them. And again, the women competing at 1.
The athletes probably thankful that the organizers didn't put in a community race this year, although much to the chagrin of Kieran McDonald, who was mentioning that the other day.
We had a whole group of runners, I think, using up their energy in workouts and long runs this morning and yesterday. They would have been hungry for that community race, unfortunately. But it's good for the course. The rain keeps falling here. It's a difficult day. It's a difficult day for spectators, for runners. Glad some spectators did show up still. This course is pretty populated, and that old energy is still there.
Yeah, the camera doesn't quite catch it, but along the back stretch as the runners make their way through the midway point of the course, there's spectators are lining the course probably 2 or 3 deep. So a good showing for a day like today.
Absolutely. And it's still a group of 70, 80 runners running in serpentine fashion. Unless there's one that broke away. Do you see something?
I don't think anybody's pulled away yet. Again, we apologize for some of the camera angles. It is a tough day out here for the athletes as well as our men and women behind the camera.
Yeah, we have the easiest job here, Angus. We're inside a pavilion watching through a window. We're very lucky.
We definitely do. Try to get an eye. Yeah, all the runners are still together. There's nobody up front. It still looks like the same leaders from before.
We'll try to keep an eye out as well for Tyler Dawsey, the Can West champion from UBC. Dawsey, who has a lot of experience on the varsity circuit and had a pretty good showing last year at U Sports, finishing 12th, so second team All-Canadian. Also has a 13:44 5,000 meter PB, which is quite elite. One of the few men in the field that have broken that 14-minute barrier. It's quite elusive, although as we mentioned, Angus, we were talking before the race, not as elusive as it has been in the U Sports Conference. I think we have about 10 to 12 men who have broken 14 minutes in this field.
Yeah, I believe this summer there was the Canadian Championships, one of the few times that it didn't become a tactical affair with the leaders, and it popped out a few amazing times. I think there's 7 or 8 men in this field that have run under 14 minutes, and another 5 to 7 that are right on the line of that barrier.
One of them, of course, being Andrew Davies, has a very impressive slate of personal bests: 7:55 3K, a 13:37 5K, and he looked very strong running next to his teammate Max Turek early on. And I would call the McMaster team a three-headed dragon between these two and Alex Drover, likely finishing in the top 5.
It does look like we've got a runner pulling away now. And we can...
I want to say that that's a Regina singlet. And so until we see the front, it'll be difficult to identify, but my guess would be perhaps that'd be Ron McLean.
No, that'd be U of A if it was Ron McLean. Let's see when they come around here.
Yeah, correct. Ron McLean, that's be a Regina singlet.
Let's see. As they start to turn the corner here, we'll get a better look. It might be a Queens runner, actually, now that we get the look on the camera.
Oh,
here.
I think you're right. I think that's a Queens runner.
I'm looking at the list now. I don't even think there's a Regina runner in the race.
No, there isn't. So there you go. Looks like that is Mitchell Kirby. Mitchell Kirby, who finished 4th at the OUA Championship, a 13th place finisher at U Sports last year, so a second team All-Canadian. Now, Kirby is one of those runners that I would describe as way more of a distance stud than a speed demon, if you know what I mean. Kirby has a 3:59 1,500 meter PB. Many men in that field have run faster on the track, but he is very strong on the distance side of things. So if I were Mitchell Kirby, I would guess that my strategy would be to try to get everyone to run fast early on to maybe suck the kick out of the legs of all the competitors. So first move here.
Yeah, I like the timing of this move too. If you're not one with a kick, it's already starting to get hard around 10 minutes and starting to push the pace a little bit. Some of those kickers will start to think about it. I think it was McMaster that was leading the charge behind Mitchell, and I'm sure those boys will be able to reel him in if they don't give him too much time.
That's a brave move. Very brave move. Difficult to run in these really tough conditions by yourself. And so I wonder how Kirby will hold.
If you are going to make a move like that today, though, you want to get out in front and separate yourself from the pack so you're not just breaking the wind for the people behind you. You want to be out front and make the group behind you still chase through that wind. So in that sense, it is still a good move for him.
Yeah, but I got to say, I do like that chase pack. Max Turek, Andrew Davies, Andrew Peveril tucked in very comfortably. Again, like Peveril likely has a good fan base here. Growing up in Sackville, Nova Scotia, not far from here. Spent most of his life living and training around the Halifax region. And so if you have an at-home victory, if there's an at-home favorite, it is certainly St. Mary's Andrew Peveril. Not to discount the men's Dalhousie Tigers team, the AUS champions. I think their strength in particular is they might not have a top 10 finisher in this race, but they will have a pretty small spread. Many athletes who have the capacity to run finish between the 15th spot and say the 40th spot. For 5 runners, that's very impressive.
I think McMaster would also argue they've got a pretty tight spread. They've got 4 runners up in that top 10 right now, and the 5th one was just off the back of that front pack. So the tight spread in the middle is great when you're chasing for those places between 4 and 6, but a tight spread at the top will guarantee you the win.
Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. And I know for McMaster, the difficult part was to secure a 5th runner in that top 10, top 14. And I think they found their man in Sam Nusselder, who's had a breakout year this year. As mentioned, those 3 top runners on the team, Turek, Drover, and Davies, likely top 5 to 10 finishers. But after that, their 4th runner, Dylan Alec, is a 14-flat 5K runner. And so on paper, those 4 were certainly candidates for all-Canadian spots in the top 14. And Nusselder, since then, has really mended the gap and makes McMaster an absolute contender in winning gold here. Really,
Sure.
I'd say it's their race to lose.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It reminds me of Guelph back in the 2010 to 2015 when they were able to finish 4 or 5 guys in the top 10 to 14. Similar dominance level.
Yeah, difficult year for Guelph, losing the U Sports champion Mitchell Eubine to graduation. Eubine, who is here cheering his teammates. They'll be cheering Alec Purnell. He'll be cheering on Max Davies. Now Guelph is now rebuilding with a lot of younger athletes. Max Davies in particular came back from Iona after becoming injured, cross-trained for a few months and came back, ran a 3:41 in 1,500 meters. Now this is a first-year athlete at University of Guelph. We'll look for him. We know he has that speed on the track, and we'll see if he can translate that to the cross-country course.
I'm just trying to make out the runners are coming back down the wall of people, and I'm trying to figure out if we still have our lone leader or if the pack has come back together. It looks like at the very least we've got a much smaller pack than what we started with. It looks like 10, maybe 15 runners have broken apart from the main group, and then there's a second group of chasers maybe 10 seconds adrift.
And we're trying to catch colors. Now, I don't know, Angus, I see some burgundy and I see some yellow. So looks like a replay of the OUA Conference Championship with McMaster and Queens leading the charge.
Are you sure it's not Regina's here?
Now I am.
So they should be coming back into the eye of the camera here shortly as they work their way down. I think it's the 3rd fairway.
And the rain really pours. Look at all the spectators breaking out the ponchos.
There we are.
Okay. Oh, and those are the 2 McMaster towers. Andrew Davies and Max Turek leading. I think I saw a red singlet behind them.
I think it's Guelph in 3rd behind them.
Okay. I thought it might have been Mathieu Baudet of McGill, but also could be a Guelph Griffin. It was hard to get an eye on him, but likely one of those 2. And if it's a Guelph Griffin, I would guess that might be Alec Purnell.
Here they come around in the corner. You're right, it is Baudet from McGill.
Baudet, who's a 3:59 miler, was a hockey player until the end of high school, picked up running, and a few years later, barely 2 or 3 years later, was breaking that 4-minute barrier. So an incredibly talented runner there in 3rd with a devastating kick. And that 4th runner in that pack, je pense que ça c'est Philippe Morneau-Cartier, le 4e coureur de l'Université Laval, coureur diminutif entre 3 coureurs de McMaster. Alex Drover in 5th right now, trying to follow his teammates.
Beside Kirby, and then Andrew Peveril still hanging on to the back of that group, and then Tyler Dawsey, the Can West champion, looks like he's in about 10th place.
Alors gardez vos yeux sur Philippe Morneau-Cartier de l'Université Laval. Son record personnel aux 5000 mètres est de 14,03. Il a aussi fini 2e aux Jeux du Canada aux 5000 mètres, derrière seulement Andrew Peveril. So Philippe Morneau-Cartier in that top 4 was 2nd at the Canada Games 5K, finishing just behind Andrew Peveril, the champion. So we're trying to get an eye on Peveril, our local favorite here.
He was in about 9th place, I think, when they went by the hut here, and but a bit of separation now. It looks like 2 OUA, 2 RESQ, and then a gap, and then we've got 2 more OUA, and then Peveril and a man from Guelph.
Yeah, I think that's Peveril in 7th right now.
There's Dawsey there.
9.
And then
Jared
House having a good day for UMB.
Next behind him, wasn't able to identify that 11th runner.
You can tell just by how this race is breaking up right now that the pace that they went out at to get to that bridge in prime position is really starting to affect some of these runners at the back here.
And we have about, say, 7 to 8 minutes of running left to go. And I think that top 7 is starting to appear somewhat decided.
I would say, based off what we've seen so far, the only thing for sure that I feel confident about is that McMaster's in a good position. But apart from that, in the team race, it's hard to say. Hard
to say is right. Hard to say. I think Guelph might be doing okay. I saw Christian Ratner running in around the 15th to 20th position. But I think it'll be it's absolutely McMaster's race to lose now. I haven't spotted Nusselder, but with at least 3 athletes in that top 5 to 6, it'll be very difficult to give up that gold. So McMaster, they've come a long way, the program under coach Paula Schnur, former Olympian and 1,500-meter runner. In my time in the U Sports Conference, they were kind of the butt end of a joke of a team never being able to reach the podium. They finished 4th for years, several years in a row. Just never really able to capitalize and win a medal, and they've come such a long way since then. They've developed into not only a competitive program, but a dominant one.
Yeah, I seem to remember at one of the banquets they were given the Most Canadian Award, and some maple syrup and a mini stick along with that to commemorate them being willing to give up 3rd place to teams over the years.
Yeah, they're known as the nicest team, which is not really what you want.
But today they're coming to take what's theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really no sign of breaking with in Turek and Davies. But Monod-Cartier and also Baudet in 3rd and 4th look very strong coming from the RSCQ conference. And I hope we can get an eye on them soon, because I have a feeling that a big move is coming from at least one of those leading runners.
And it'll be interesting to see. Kirby made that big move, and now he's kind of slipped back in the pack a bit to that second group. It'll be interesting to see how he's able to hold on, and whether or not he will end up staying with that second group or slipping a bit further back.
And we'll keep an eye on Andrew Peveril. Andrew, if he finishes 7th, if he keeps his position, will be a first-team All-Star. And we haven't had a first-team All-Star in the men's race coming from the AUS conference in a very long time. In fact, the last All-Star, I believe, we had in the conference, top 10 finisher, was yourself, Angus, in 2017.
Yeah, but before that, it was Matt McNeil, who was the first-team All-Star 2 years prior to that.
2 years prior.
It has been a while.
So that would have been 2015, so a full 7 years. Now we pan on a UPEI runner, showing my cards here. I'm a PEI native, and we were all proud this year that University of Prince Edward Island hosted the AUS Championship for the first time. They've had a team now for just 5 years, so a very young, nascent program, making big strides, and now having representatives on the national stage. So it's good to see the conference growing.
We can see some of the leaders coming up over the hill there, I believe. They're running too fast to be back markers.
But they're truly separated, Angus.
Yeah, it's a McMaster, it looks like, in the lead. Followed by Baudet, and then another McMaster runner. We'll try to zoom in to see
just
we're at the finish. Kirby's still looking good. I think he's in about 6th right now.
That's Max Turek.
Yeah.
Max Turek is leading. Mathieu Baudet is charging. Andrew Davies is in 3rd. And Turek really seems to be pouring it on here. He must have a good kilometer left to run. This is a big move.
I think it's about 500 meters. As they round that corner, they're going to come into the finishing chute right here where you can see all the people lined up, and this will be...
Oh, you're right, Angus. So either our timing is wrong, or the course is short, or we're missing something. But here's Max Turek going down, grinning, now knowing that he's going to get his first title, but he doesn't want to get too comfortable as Baudet is behind him, and then he crosses the line and collapses.
And down he goes. Mathieu Baudet for the silver medal, and...
Pardon, that's Philippe Monod-Cartier in 2nd place. Apologies, Philippe Monod-Cartier en 2e position. Now I think we have Andrew Davies.
Somewhere in that mix.
Yeah, I think he's rounding down for 3rd. Here we see Drover crossing the line as Davies.
And there's Peveril
right
behind.
Peveril.
And Kirby's there as well. Hard to tell. Kirby looked like he might have finished before those two.
Tyler Dawsey finishes.
Jared
House.
Big run from Jared House.
Yeah, the UNB athlete. So that's going to be 2 AUS athletes in the top 14 and perhaps top 10. So excellent showing from the AUS conference. Jacob Benoit of St. FX.
Another McMaster runner, and I think McMaster's might have all 5 of their runners through the finish line. So I think you can see them celebrating here. I think they know they've done it at this point.
Yeah, that was Andrew Davies. He might have just crossed. So
this is the part about cross country that you really have to appreciate. That just shrapnel on the side of the course after the finish line. And there's all the Dalhousie runners coming across the line together, as you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, crossing, not really knowing what your team score is, sometimes not knowing where you finished, being incredibly tired, having spectators crowd around you. You're just trying to get a wind, maybe a drink of water. So difficult. Now, don't pay too much attention to the time, because I think we might have missed a couple minutes. So I don't think Max Turek covered the 8K course in 21 minutes, unless the course was short. But
yeah, the course might have been 7K if that's the case.
But either way, an excellent run by Turek, excellent move, and great to see him win after once again getting a conference championship, an individual title, and now following through 2 weeks later to become national champion.
Yes. The McMaster team showed great patience there too, as Kirby made his move to try to break things up, and Kirby made the move that made the race with breaking it up. It was a huge pack at that point, and then we saw the groups separate out into 5 groups of 2, and then finally our champion Max Turek.
And someone had to go. Someone had to start it off, and it did take some guts. And we see some runners going around the finish here, really hoping that we can get live results quickly so that we can start commenting on the team titles and even confirming that individual order. We do have live results. We'll see how quickly they can come up. It's very challenging. Again, very tough day out there to do anything tech related. This is not quite Newfoundland 2014, but it is close to that level. At least it's not very cold, but the wind is brutal and the rain is nonstop.
I'm seeing messages at the moment that Jacob Benoit might have also snuck into the top 14, so there might be 3 representatives from the AUS that ended up making it into the All-Canadian slots, which would be probably historic for the conference.
I would say historic, and also members of 3 separate teams, UNB, St. FX, and St. Mary's.
In the past, when it's been done, it would be mainly just one strong team.
Likely just one, yeah. And now feast your eyes on a group of athletes, some elated, some crestfallen, as the 2022 U Sports cross country season on the men's side comes to an end. We have a watcher in Lee Wasalius saying Andrew Peveril, Jared House, and Jacob Benoit were 6th, 7th, and 10th.
So to confirm the order and the All-Canadians, Max Turek took away the win, as we knew, followed by
Philippe Monod-Cartier, Université Laval, en 2e position. Donc on pensait que c'était Mathieu Baudet. Les couleurs sont similaires, mais le coureur de l'Université Laval finit 2e, 3 secondes en arrière de Turek.
And Andrew Davies from McMaster, Mitchell Kirby from Queens, Alex Drover from McMaster, Andrew Peveril in 6th from St. Mary's, Jared House in 7th from UNB, Nicholas Bannon from the Guelph Griffins in 8th. Matthew Baudet slipped back a little bit from that lead pack, but he went with the move, which is a commendable thing to do. Finished 9th from McGill. Jacob Benoit was 10th, so not only was there 1, there was 3 in the top 10 today from the AUS, from the St. FX X-Men. Cameron Kira from Windsor was 11th. Jonathan Tedeschi from Laval, 12th. Dylan Alec from McMaster, 13th. And Riley Strummer from the University of Alberta Golden Bears was the last All-Canadian spot.
And then, of course, in 15th, Sam Nusselder. So McMaster's 5th runner. So quick maths here. McMaster ran away with this race.
Yeah, it was not even close for first place. It'll be interesting to see as the rest of the teams come in. It's such a diverse group of runners up at the top and through 20 and 30 places that it'll be really hard to tell. But like we said, Dalhousie, they went 23, 24, 26. So they might be in with a chance of...
But then 50th and 72nd.
And
I was just looking at that.
And that'll start to hurt them as well. So other than first place, it's really hard to tell at this point.
Now we're getting asked to say, where are you getting these results? So the live results are on the website. They're on Race Roster. RaceRoster.com to find those live results. And likely we'll have the compiled team results very soon as well. I think the Western Mustangs will...
I do think that these results might be incomplete as well. As I look at them, I realize... Oh no, Mitchell Kirby he was fourth. Sorry, I was scanning down because I thought he had fallen a bit further back, but no, he was fourth, so he is there.
Kirby fourth, Jude Wheeler D of Queens 17th, and Roman Mironov of Queens 20th. So it looks like a good top three. Miles Brackenbury 32nd, also of Queens. Now we're scrolling to see who was their fifth runner. Ben Miskey, 61st. So I think Queens might have finished second here, but don't take my word for it.
And I think Guelph might have a strong argument for third at this point with an 8th, a 21st.
Just their other...
And their 5th was in the 50s. So I think they would likely be in the medals, but it's really hard to tell because you don't know the people that don't have full teams here. They don't count, so they don't count as displacers. It's difficult to say what the team results will be.
Yeah, very difficult. I'd say Western and Guelph and UBC and Dalhousie are all in that 3rd to 6th to 7th range.
I think in order for Dalhousie to have had a chance at medaling today, they would have needed all 5 of their guys to finish in that 20 to 30 range, and so unlikely that we'll see that today.
Any math wizards who are following along trying to tabulate the score, let us know what you have, and we will quote you. And so if you're wrong, it's on you, but please send us your results. And we'll go from there, because that's the beauty of cross country. There's about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of complete unknown after the race.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to talk about how.
Oh wow! And now it's really coming down. I feel for the women. See, now the men are done. They're comfortable. They've gone through the rain, and the women are just getting ready. The rain is starting to fall down even harder. They're going to run on a sloppier course than the men did. Very difficult.
All right, so our first competitor in the score guessing challenge is Lee Weselius.
Okay, Lee.
Many of you might know him from his recent marathon exploits at the Toronto and Indianapolis Marathon.
The 2:16 marathoner twice.
He is saying that McMaster had a score of 37. For those of you not familiar with the scoring system, it's a pretty impressive score.
So McMaster in first, 37 points according to Lee Weselius. So that's no surprise. And what are his other numbers here, Angus?
He's saying Laval might be at 122, although he's given us 3 different numbers for Laval, so we're not really too sure at this point.
Wow, well that's tough, Lee. But Laval, Queens, I think Western might have been relatively strong. Lee says this is very fast, rough math. So no, we believe that, Lee. But I think at this point, it's pretty safe to say that Queens and Laval are in that top 3, 4.
Yeah, I think
unless we're missing something.
I think the top 5 will be separated by a handful of points. Then there will be a bit of a gap.
Oh, wow. And, okay, again, this is just anecdotal, and this is happening right on the course. But if this is true, we heard that Max Turek, as you saw, after he threw himself on the ground in exhaustion, right after the race, might have dislocated his shoulder right on the spot. Oh, my God. Hope that's not true.
This is directly from one of the people carrying them off the course, so hopefully he's all right, and hopefully that doesn't impact his track season at all. But
if anything, at least it was his last race of the cross-country season, and what a performance did he deliver. But hope he's okay. I mean, I feel like we've all been there, finishing a race absolutely tired and not even having enough energy to stand up, so you just throw yourself on the ground.
I think most of these distance gentlemen will agree as well that a win on the cross-country course is much more valuable than a win on the indoor track, as you get the mixture of all distances here. You get the 3,000 meter, you get the 1,500, and the 1,000 split up over the track, so that the talent kind of gets dispersed, whereas here it's everybody and who's the best man on the day. So Max Turek, I think even if he misses a bit of indoor season with a dislocated shoulder, he'll be quite all right with the win here today.
Yeah, that's some tough words from the 2018 3,000 meter champion. You're undermining yourself, Angus.
I'd trade it in a day for a cross-country title. So we're still waiting on some of the team results to flow in here.
So as we calculate, we're going to throw to a commercial very soon. But if we cut on you, remember, the women's race usually is first, was not first this year. They're going at 1 o'clock. So if you leave, be back in 23 minutes.
Exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail. Where tradition is celebrated, Ontario University Athletics.
This season, catch the best in Atlantic University sport excitement at home or on the go with AUS TV. Soccer, rugby, football, volleyball, hockey, basketball, and more. Tune in at AUSTV.ca. All your favorite university teams showcasing their talents in one place. AUS TV, powered by Bell Alliant. They bring it to the court. They bring it to the field. They bring it to the ice. And now they bring it to you. Presented by Subway, the official fuel of Atlantic University sport.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
U-Sports on CBC, presented by Les Championnats U-Sport, une présentation de Fox 40, title partner of the U-Sports Coach of the Year Awards, fier partenaire des prix des entraîneurs de l'année U-Sport, Veriburn Medical Supply, exclusive sports medicine and medical supply partner of U-Sports, le partenaire exclusif de U-Sport en matière de médecine sportive et des fournitures médicales. Nike Team, exclusive performance apparel provider. Just do it. Fier partenaire de U-Sport. Faites-le. Baron, exclusive championship rings and recognition jewelry provider to U-Sports. Le fournisseur officiel des bagues et bijoux commémoratifs des championnats U-Sport. Sport Canada, funding partners of U-Sports. Sport Canada, partenaire financier de U-Sport.
where exceptional student athletes